Office 365, a term that makes you think of Office application, and 365 days a year, available all the time, a term that's almost synonymous with cloud-based solution these days. Well, Office 365 is Microsoft's cloud-based solution for email access, document sharing, and communication services. The Office 365 portal is where a user would end up accessing all of his applications in their online version, or even download an offline version of those same applications for offline use. In this course, we're going to discuss a lot of the backend infrastructure for Office 365. Let's take a quick look at what a user encounters when he goes into an Office 365 portal. So if I log in with a user named Jane Kane has an email address in a domain named elfassi.ca. When Jane logs into the Office 365 portal, she has access to all of the Office applications, can download those applications, or access the online versions. She can access the Outlook web app. Outlook web app is an evolution of what many of you may know as Hotmail.com. Hotmail.com evolved into Outlook.com and is part of those suite of products that make up Office 365. From here, Jane can accept meeting requests, can send emails, can view all of the information that she would in her email and manage that email information. From this application, she can also use Lync and actually communicate with other users and manage her availability status. From the Office 365 portal, Jane can access OneDrive for Business, which is a storage location for her personal files that are stored on SharePoint Online. She can also access the SharePoint sites. Now, by using these SharePoint sites, she can share documents with other users that work within the organization or manage a public site that would be used by users outside of her organization. So we've got Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, and Lync Online, the three primary services of Office 365. In the background behind those services, what gives you the ability to have a secured authentication mechanism to Office 365 is Microsoft Azure Active Directory services. The magic of Office 365 and the cloud is that those services don't need to be managed. They work completely in the background as a backend infrastructure. I've demonstrated some of those end-user functionalities and that end-user experience. This is not something we'll focus on too much in the course because we'll focus on the backend infrastructure. I will sometimes demonstrate how the client connects to Office 365, but we really put in place the backend infrastructure for those clients to connect. And all the management of those client connections will take place from the Office 365 Admin Center and three other admin centers that are related to Exchange, SharePoint, and Lync. Before we dive into the Office 365 Admin Center, I want to clear out some terminology. There's a few terms that I'll be using throughout the course that I want to make sure are clear for you. The first is a subscription. The Office 365 subscription is the term that we use to define what you're actually purchasing from Microsoft to create this environment in the cloud for you. So your Office 365 subscription is the definition of your environment in the Microsoft cloud. You assign your licenses, the number of licenses, and the type of licenses for Office 365 within that subscription. There's enterprise-level subscription, mid-sized business subscription, subscriptions that are related to educational institutions or even end users. Choosing the right subscription for you is going to be very important in ensuring that you have the appropriate services for Office 365. The Office 365 tenant is where all of your data is stored and all your configurations are stored. So unlike the subscription, which is really your registration information, the tenant is your data content in Office 365. Within the configurations of Office 365, we'll sometimes refer to your tenant as your company or your organization. The SLA, or the Service Level Agreement. The Service Level Agreement is the agreement between you and Microsoft as to the availability of the Office 365 services. Office 365 services are designed to be available constantly. Constant availability means that you can rely on the Office 365 cloud to provide the Exchange, Lync, and SharePoint services that you need. The way that service level agreements are calculated is by percentage of uptime. The guaranteed percentage of uptime for Office 365 depends on the subscription that you have. The most common SLA or service level agreement uptime percentage is 99.9% of the time. If availability falls below that threshold of 99.9%, Microsoft will provide remuneration to the customers that have suffered service degradation or unavailable service that falls below that threshold. The amount of remuneration is defined by how low the availability has fallen to. And there are documents on the Microsoft website that will provide additional details as to how much an organization will be refunded if the availability uptime falls below that required threshold. Now, let's take a look at the Office 365 Admin Center.